it's time to take the fight to Sigma himself. But first, I'm going to make a huge blunder, as I remember from the start of this. One that I'm sure just like made me genuinely think, should I just restart the game? Because I do all this work, starting off. Of course I'm using the turtle's weakness here. But it's like the first platforming section, or I guess the second platforming section, I know something goes wrong. And it's just so embarrassing. But I'm talking about it for so long because this, the thing is that, oh, let's see. Yeah, okay. Just, wow,
You think...
the first major thing, and just like, whoops, spikes. I guess that's what's just happening right now.
It seems... You'd think that X-Man...
I wouldn't be... X-Man? Why would you ever call him that?
Because he's Mega Man X. I'm sure I've said X-Man before.
You have never said it before.
Okay. I don't believe that.
I do, because I've been listening.
Okay, so Mega Man X, he knows he's going to a place where he could greatly benefit from being able to swim. I feel like it wouldn't be too hard to just get a swimming attachment.
I mean...
Go back to Dr. X Light X, and then just get the... Get a robot.
Look, okay, this is different from... God damn it. This is different from what you said before. Because you just there was like no reason for you...
I have no idea what the doctor is called, so I just call him Dr. Light X. I have no idea. Is there...
He's just Dr. Light.
The same Dr. Light?
Yes.
That doesn't sound right. Is there... I think the holograms?
Yes, the hologram.
There's no doctor in this game other than just a hologram dudes. I guess we didn't see one at the start.
The thing is that Dr. Kane, who we don't see in person in the original game, but we do see in the animated version of the start of this game. They did make an animated short.
So Dr. Kane is Dr. Light X. Why can't Dr. Light X, he gives Mega Man X a fish attachment and he can swim and just swims past all of this nonsense?
I mean,
they should just for some gameplay differences. Why do they never ever make him swim? I mean, I guess
Mega Man 8 he swims. You've completely forgotten about the Mega Man 8 playthrough. Don't blame you, but he swims in that one.
You could argue, because people do argue, swimming is not fun in a platformer. Mario water levels, at least in the 2D games, aren't fun. You could argue that, and I guess I'd understand. Like it slows down the pace, etc., etc., etc.
This is where they explain how the boss refights work.
Was it necessary?
What was that?
Is it necessary to explain that?
Well, they're doing more story. They're doing more story stuff here, but the thing is that like they bring the thing that they explain, that I'm sure I've explained before, is that they rebuild the body with only the action, with only the fighting program there, and barely any of the personality. though
Who built these robots in the first place?
a lot
Are
of
they just
different people.
okay? So this isn't one where they're specifically made.
No,
Okay.
the even though certain Reploid, like in Mega Man X4, the Reploids you fight are part of like a faction or whatever. They're not like, oh, in the all Dr. Cossack's robots or all Dr. Wily's robots. No, they're just Reploid society has advanced so much that there's just a lot of people making these kind of things based off of Mega Man X's original design.
You could argue, I guess, the amount of times everything, a bunch of robots go evil and try to destroy the thing. This happens relatively not often in comparison. I'm sure the normal function. It happens much more often than things going poorly. Because you'd think after the amount of times things go horribly wrong, they'd probably try to restructure the society away from this sort of thing. But if it
Well,
doesn't happen that often, I mean, you could argue that car accidents happen often, and yet society still keeps building highways instead of high-speed rail.
well, the thing is that, well, I'd say that example doesn't really work well because car accidents are at least individualized. While sure a lot of Maverick stuff can happen individually due to how Sigma organizes them, there's a lot of major uprisings. But the thing is that the Mega Man X series takes place across a longer point in time than the normal Mega Man series. So like, I'd say hundreds of years, just like a few hundred years pass, in the between the Mega Man X games. Not all the time. Like I'd say Mega Man X4 and an X3, I'd say would be like I don't know, 30 years apart, and that would be feasible.
So how far apart are the years in the original Mega Man?
Just a few years, which actually technically makes things worse.
So Dr. Light, he was like very. I mean, Dr. Wily. How did he even survive? He was an old man at the beginning.
Well, Dr. Wily died, but he put his consciousness in all.
So what about Dr. Light then? Did he also die? I'm
Yeah,
clearly forgetting.
Dr. Light also died, but
Within the first 11 Mega Man games?
No, I'm talking about Mega Man X.
Yeah, but I'm talking about Mega Man. Like, it's so much time passes between the games.
Okay, they weren't that old, man.
Are you serious now? Yeah, they were.
Dr. Light does look like Santa Claus, sure. But, like, they weren't that old that just, like, a few years could pass and you're just like, why aren't they new?
If you could argue, let's say 3 years on average between every Mega Man game. Alright, Mega Man 11. So that's 33 years. And they've survived the full 33 years. And then when the inevitable Mega Man 12 comes out.
I wouldn't say that's a good point, but I wouldn't say that because okay, let's put it in this way. I wouldn't say that the whole years thing would be on the point of like I'd say 3. I'd be willing to put it like a year on average, especially considering that Mega Man 7 specifically takes place 6 months after 6.
Okay, so 11, and let's just play that 12 years. Because it's 11 years, let's say 12 years. Even then, Dr. Wily, the moment Mega Man blows up his robot, he just falls 5 feet and immediately dies. What's going on there? He'd still be very old.
Well,
unless This he has robot prosthetics that's hidden.
No, but it's man, I am doing this like the most inefficient way at the first time because if anything, I'm being too meticulous. I really should just be charging the chameleon sting and just barreling through these guys. Especially considering their respawn rates are terrible.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
But yeah, sure, you could argue. Well, I mean, that's another reason why we thought it was alluded that he could be dead in 3 because he was hit by castle debris when it was falling. But nah, he's still kicking. So yes, I'm sure Dr. Wily is more durable than he really should be. But still, within that time, them surviving normally is understandable. At least you could argue from Light's perspective.
And he also looks old, but I guess we don't know. He could just look like an old man and be in his 50s. 11 years past, he's just in his 60s. Like,
by the way, for
whatever.
people asking, because I know it's possible people are going to ask, no, I don't know the weaknesses of most of the bosses. That's why I'm trying out a lot of these things. And ironically, somehow, well, because of the process of trial and error and the different types of weapons you use, sometimes using trying to kill a boss with different special weapons in order to try out to see what works the best makes you makes you more vulnerable. Because as I've shown before, I can easily defeat Boomer Kawanger with just the Mega Buster, but here I'm trying to show off his weakness and I am nearly dead. And then he dies in the middle, but oh well, he'll be back. I guess that's a little price to pay, but because I'm at the bottom of this huge section again, at this point I'm like, okay, I know what's coming. I should absolutely, well, yeah, there we go. Just, I earned the arm parts, I'm going to use them.
So, what's the name of Dr. Light X again? What's his name?
Dr. Kane.
So Dr. Kane and the bad guy is Cossack?
No, the bad guy is Sigma.
Okay, so Dr. Kane and Sigma. So Dr. Kane is the beta and then Dr. Sigma is the Sigma. Or is Dr. Kane the Sigma and Dr. Sigma the beta?
Sigma's not a doctor.
Okay, so I don't know anything. So how does it justify these people being alive if hundreds of years pass?
What do you mean? Oh, that's what you mean. No, Dr. Kane is like never seen again after Mega Man X3.
Okay, but even then, that's still how many years between the first and the third?
Well, Mega Man X2 picks up shortly after Mega Man X1. I don't know about the difference in time between 2 and 3, but I know that it's been a while because the plot of X3 is that scientists finally seemed to create a cure for the Maverick virus, which I'm sure must have taken some amount of time. So I'd say a few years would have passed.
And then conveniently after that, it just becomes hundreds of years?
It just becomes a lot of years in between, considering the advances made, especially considering Mega Man.
But you were telling me that between the Mega Man X games is hundreds of years. Where you mix it, I think you're not getting what I was saying.
Okay, then let's try again.
Between X1 and what's the end of the X games? X7?
X8.
Yeah. I was saying that if these robots keep going evil so often within one series, every few years, they'll want to move their society away from that. But you said, oh, each game is hundreds of years.
No, no.
But I think
I mean that it amounts to hundreds of years throughout the X series. It amounts overall to hundreds of years.
okay, which I guess
The thing is that people do get fed up. Like after X5 situation, what Sigma does in that game like causes significant damage to the world. And X6, a lot of civilizations are destroyed, and they're in the point of rebuilding. Like X7, X has specifically built a civilization himself to try and just like maintain a peaceful solution. Of course, it doesn't work because this isn't something you can um, that you can try diplomacy for. Um, and
so. And
X8
then
hmm?
no, see what you're saying. Yeah.
and X8 humans get so fed up that they start building entirely new types of Reploids instead of going off of the base design, like how it's been, and that are supposedly supposed to be immune to the Maverick virus, and they're also expanding their civilization just in case into space.
Okay, so what's the series? The series after the X1s or what again?
Zero, and then ZX.
And then Legends.
Yes.
So if in Legends everything's all like underwater, it kind of seems
Most
like
things
they
are all
ultimately
underwater.
failed.
Well, it's the thing is what originally happened is Legend. It's explained that by the time of Legends, humanity's just moved to the moon for the most part, and they actually advances in robotics, and and cybernetics have just become so ingrained with humanity that they practically grow with it. So it's they're almost indistinguishable from the robots they create, to the point where they have incredibly long lifespans. But they've still run out of lifespans, and part of it is that the society they built was so, what was it, just lifeless and like boring, that when time came to die, they were fine with it. And there was until there was only one left. And there was a protocol made to repopulate the Earth with new life forms based on human data called carbons. And those are the beings you see on the Earth, in Mega Man Legends. Not that they know they're carbons; they weren't designed with knowledge of the past hundreds of years, well, thousands of years in this case.
So it's actually that humanity won and had a paradise, and then everyone just moved on, and then
Yeah.
restarted.
Yes. The part of the conflict, of course, comes with the fact that the the last human, decided to basically give up his, at that point, near immortality. It because what was supposed to happen was that after a while, if it were to ever get to get down to um, just a few number of humans, then a system would activate, causing causing a reformatting of Earth and a cloning of human samples of DNA that they had, so that they could rebuild a human race, um, over and rewrite the Earth, getting rid of the carbons that they created. But because the carbons, because the last person, saw the carbons as their own life forms who deserve freedom of choice, he stalled that system, with the help of Mega Man.
How do you? So you can't. Oh, the video's done. You can't even. How do you even go from there? Like, the absolute worst thing you could possibly do to the Mega Man timeline and lore is to just cut to hundreds of years later and it's basically Mega Man 1 again, and then a bunch of robots go upset. You kind of have to just end it.
Well, the robots don't go upset in Legends.
No, that's what I'm saying. The worst thing you could do is just restart everything and just say, and then Dr. Filey upsets the Carbon Legends, and it's all, it sounds awful. It sounds like the worst thing you could do to just say it was all for nothing. Like, it feels like, lore wise, you just end it. You just start a new timeline.
Oh man, that's a way to put it I've never heard before.